Bona nit a tothom, benvinguts a la roda de premsa del tècnic.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the press conference by Xavi Hernández, coach of Football Club Barcelona. So, Ricard, Catalunya Radio, if you want to start. Good evening, Xavi. After the first half, where there was a stretch with good football, the game got complicated in the second half. Why? And are you understanding in this context, having been a player before a coach, because of all the load and the context around it, or you're very demanding and you don't like it? What's your position in the second half? Well, I reckon I should be more understanding than ever, because this was not the ideal scenario. This was a game in which we were favorite. It's like everyone took for granted we had won, and we had a difficult opponent, a good technical team, and I believe we made it difficult for ourselves. We have lacked effectiveness to win. I don't know, 4-1 or 5-1. We've generated a lot of game, a lot of play, but of course we're coming from this very physical, the most physical game I've seen in my coach career last Sunday, and today, because of the injured, we've had the same players more or less. So it's not that we were relaxed, but because of a mistake, we got a goal against, but it should have been easier for us to win this game. So again, I reckon I should be more understanding than demanding today. Good evening, el Barça juga RAC1. Good evening, Xavi. I would like to ask you about Fermin. What's his most significant virtue? And do you think his performance today means he could be in the starting team for the Clásico? Well, we will prepare for the game against Madrid in the weekend, but I'm really happy about Fermin's performance. He's a really valid and significant player for us. If he believes in himself, he can play in Barca for many years, and that's not little thing. I mean, that's quite saying. He's very dynamic with both legs. He can strike goals, also from outside the box. So he's having a great season, and he's being important for the team. Hello, Xavi, for Ser Catalunya. You were saying that last Sunday, the most physical games if you've been coach in Barca. Of course, some players looked fatigued. Do you think you're reaching the Clásico 100%? Well, we will. We have to recover, of course. We have to rest and disconnect between today and tomorrow. Enjoy this victory, which was essential, crucial for us. These 3 points really gives us a lot in these competitions. And now we should put it aside and focus on the Clásico against Madrid. Get there in a good position. Of course, some players have played a lot of physical burden, particularly last Sunday against Athletic. It was really hot, and today some players have also have a demanding time, but I believe we are doing well with the non-injured players. Good evening, coach. I would like to ask about Joao Felix. He couldn't finish the game. Is there any concern or anything? No, it's just a blow on his hip, nothing to be concerned about, so no problem about having him ready for Saturday. Good evening, coach. Congratulations on the win. Are you relieved after what you suffered the last 2 years that you are almost now in the next round? You feel relieved, and it helps you focus on other objectives, other goals for the season? Well, I wouldn't say relieved. I would say we've made progress. We've competed very well in the last 3 Champions games, so 9 out of 9 times, 9 out of 9 points. That's really positive. We are not qualified yet, but this is a very significant step forward for the club, for the team, and for these players. So yes, we're happy. Radio Stadio live for Onda Zero. So after the first half, you had theoretically inferior rival, although it wouldn't look like that in the second half, and the Clásico just around the corner. What do you tell your players after the first half when everything looks like it's done, but it's not actually? Well, we were actually talking about, killing the game, scoring the third goal, because it was a game for high pressure, recover the ball in the opponent's field and then strike back. But because of our mistakes, we had a goal in our side, and if we had been more effective, it would have been easier today. Good evening, Coach. Second consecutive game with Inigo as a starter. We've heard that he's feeling comfortable and at ease. What contribution can the Inigo we've seen in these 2 games make? Well, we're really happy with Inigo. That's why we signed him. I believe he has leadership abilities, has character, he's proactive in the defensive line, changes of orientations, good goals like the second goal, good passes. Also the Marius game the other day, he found Joao Felix between lines and he gave a really good pass. So he's a decisive and instrumental player in his position. He's going to give us a lot. He's feeling well and he's going to be important. He's a really good addition for the group, for the team. He's a positive guy, a leader, and I'm happy with him. Yes, from TV3, to what extent, not just thinking about the Clásico, but to what extent is it important for the team to get back the injured players, taking into account the physical wear you've had in the last few games? Well, that would be really important for the group, not just physically, but mentally also, if we can get back some player for Saturday. But we will see. We don't want to force anyone. We have to be 100%. So tomorrow and the day after, everyone will test themselves because they all want to play. But they have this positive attitude. They really look forward to playing because it's a Clásico, of course. But we will see how they feel. Everyone is making their best to be ready for Saturday. That's for sure. Yes, Xavi from Diari Sport. Before this very significant game on Saturday, when you're preparing for the game, are you one of those who think about surprising the opponent's coach with some tactics or something? Or in this kind of game with all the injured, you shouldn't be playing experiments and do what you do best? No, what we are aiming at is having the domination, being dominant in the game with the ball. And Saturday, it will be fundamental not to lose balls and being well positioned, because there will be some turnovers, but in that turnover with their transition, that's when Madrid can destroy you and when they strike back. So we need to really prepare on the offense and defense to win the Clásico on Saturday. Coach, good evening. So tonight, one of the keys of the game was probably your powers of communication. While one of the players of Shakhtar was being attended for, you were talking to Fermin, giving him instructions, and 5 minutes after he scored. What was your message? What were your instructions? And also, is it important for him to have this ability to really listen and integrate things right away? Well, the disposition of Fermin is spectacular. He wants to improve. He wants to be a really significant player. He is one already, and we told him that the entrance from the second line was really important because the defenders on the side were not paying attention at him, and he really understood it. Ferran could see him, Bundo too, Gundogan, and that's where the goals came from, and he could have scored more. He's a very dynamic player, and we really like him. That's from the Ada, good evening, Xavi, congrats on the win. I would like to ask what changed the goal by Shakhtar in the second half in terms of substitutions? Did you have to do things differently from what you were expecting? Well, during the halftime, we were talking that maybe if we scored 3 goals, maybe we would have taken out minutes from people with a lot of physical burden, but it wasn't like that, and you need to prepare for different scenarios, and this scenario was a tight game, and so this is why I made the substitutions: Casado, Marguiu, Andreas, hard workers, because Inigo was also fatigued, Balde, because we needed more one-on-one defensively and trying to surprise from the back and 2-against-1, 2-on-1. So we prepare ourselves for different scenarios, and then you do one thing or the other depending on the the script of the game. Good evening, Coach. Congrats on the win. Just a minute ago, you said the goal by Shakhtar and other issues were because of your mistakes. Are you concerned about this kind of disconnections you sometimes experience on the pitch, thinking that next Saturday it's not Shakhtar but Madrid in front of you? Well, of course, I'm concerned about disconnections. Generally speaking, that was a play in which we could have ended the play. Jamina could have struck other players, and transition back. The transition back meant the goal by Shakhtar we took. So, of course, you need to minimize these kind of situations and not take too much concern on it. Good evening, Coach. We were now saying that Íñigo was in the starting team today for the second time this season, but after minute 70 he felt a little heavy. So what do you think about him? Is he at 100%? Yes, he is 100%, but he's had two very intense games, particularly last Sunday. That was really physical, very consuming from a physical perspective. It took a toll on the players, so today it was important to really dose the players. So, good evening, Coach. We've seen that Araujo was also feeling with some pain. Does he have anything, just a blow? No, we don't have any injuries today. He's doing well. I mean, fatigue, and maybe he took a blow, but we've ended the game with no injuries today. Good evening, Xavi. I would like to ask about the tweet by Mikel Camps, one of the spokespeople of the club, who said yesterday that Vinicius was a clown and that someone had to give him a blow because of the way he behaves. What do you think about those remarks 4 days before a game against Madrid, when you were talking about this cool relationship with between both clubs? Well, if he raised the tweet, then I would just take that. So I don't like things that create tension, of course. I don't like conditioning referees or that tweet. I don't like this kind of tension, this kind of stress. I believe we need a Clásico game with a lot of fair play and respect, and even with mutual admiration, as I said, and just play football. We've had very stressful Clásicos, and I'm not going to be the one who does it here. How are you, Xavi? Good evening. Just a few minutes ago, we found out that Florentino Perez was not going to be on the stands on Saturday because of that tweet by Mikel Camps. What do you think about that? And do you think the context is getting ugly just a few days before the game? Well, yes, and your question is also doing that. I don't have to answer that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening.